Hi there, welcome to Tarot Land Soap Opera. Today I'm going to do a reading for Leo energy. And like usual, we're going to do 2 rows. The top row is going to be high vibe Leo energy. The bottom row is going to be a more worldly focused or shadowy Leo energy. And it could be a struggle going on within yourself because we always get to those places in life where we have hard decisions to make. Are we willing to listen to our intuition, to believe in ourselves, believe in our dreams, to detach from some old ways of being? And we have inner conflict within ourselves. But there's definitely some people in the world who have went through some situations in their life where they're definitely ready to leave an old way of being behind, or ways of living their life, or certain types of relationships, or ways of thinking, or something, you know, and they've definitely decided they're going to take this high vibe road. And there's other people in life who've decided they're not ready to do that. Maybe they don't ever want to do that, and they want to keep living life the way they've lived it. They could be people who are more driven and motivated by the world, or their fear, or their codependency, or their insecurity. And, you know, who knows if they'll ever be ready to listen to their intuition and have more hope and faith and belief and love. So we're going to read it from a couple different perspectives, whether you're a Leo sun sign or not. This energy is available to people in their Leo energy, and we all have Leo energy. So listen to your intuition about where you're at in the story, where other people in your life are at in the story, and see if it's of any benefit to you. Okay. That's kind of a lot. Okay, I'm going to turn down the camera because it gets too far to reach way up there to get to all the cards. Okay, for the top row, we have a ladder in reverse, climbing towards success. Some people could have been dealing with people who were social climbers. Somebody could have been one. The reason for the reading is the rat. Someone working against you behind your back, and that's also why the reading came out. And so we're going to transform that by the end. But you could have been realizing that something you had gotten invested in, whether that's a job or relationship, wasn't going to lead to where you wanted it to, so you let go of it. Then we have the Tower card, and it's starting to turn in reverse. A solid foundation, success with effort. Some people are realizing, again, that something they invested in isn't working, and that they need to let go of that foundation they were working on. Rabbit in reverse. Too much concern with sexual matters. And kind of like money and abundance, or love and sexuality, it's all kind of life force energy. Some people could have been too concerned with sexual matters, and maybe not even wanting to leave a relationship because, well, I wouldn't have a partner to be in a relationship with. Some people are getting out of that. And also with sexual energy being life force energy, realizing there's no life force energy in what they had been in. And then we have Cat, a two-faced friend. Well, that's interesting. Let's go get some clarifiers on it. Tell us about climbing the ladder towards success in reverse. If some of you are in a relationship with a Libra, or someone who you thought would be just and fair, who wasn't, or someone who might have been bossy and controlling, or emotionally cold, or if they say something's just and fair, you're supposed to think it's just and fair, and basically you could harness your Libra energy different. You have hope and faith and belief and love. They're in their Pisces energy. Their truth could be and think life is more about indulgence, and that's what makes them happy. And you just realize that you can't be in a happy long-term foundation with people who maybe are people who don't have your best interest at heart, because if they want to be in a relationship with you because it makes them happy, but they're kind of emotionally cold, distant, manipulative, prideful, egotistical, whatever, you know, that's not your dream. And so you could have let go of being in a long-term foundation with someone who you thought would be just and fair, but they weren't. And you saw the truth of it. So in the Tower card, a solid, and some people had just previously been living more from their mind than their heart to protect themselves from being hurt. And they're realizing that they were kind of aligning with their own shadowy energy of self-protectiveness and realizing that this isn't going to get me anywhere. I have got to quit living more from my mind than my heart to protect myself. It's just sabotaging me. I need to let that foundation go. Solid foundation, success with effort. Some people right now are in a situation, a workplace or a family dynamic or friendship group or romantic relationship, and they're speaking their truth. Because eventually, high vibe people, that's what you have to do. And part of why we even got in relationships and workplaces like that was to teach us to stand up for ourselves, to get clear about our truth, and to stand up for what we think is just and fair. We can get in relationships with people, again, in Pisces energy. You don't have to be dealing with a Pisces. It's just that some people have hope and faith in long-term relationships based on love, where people are just and fair, where people do speak their truth. And other people think, well, I thought it was about indulging and having everything that the world says we want, and I get to live more from my mind than my heart, or I get to be the boss. And it's not really about being just and fair. So, and we are talking about Leo energy. Some people are authentic and warm and loving. Other people try to present themselves as being that, but they really operate more from their ego. But they're up on the top line because they try to present themselves as high vibe, but really it's more of a strategy. Like, I want to be in relationships with people who are loving and warm and nurturing, but I myself am defensive to being that way, but I want to indulge in relationship with people who are like that. Okay. 2 cards not showing themselves because of the Hangman card. So the Tower, if the Tower was in the upright, and some people are in that type of relationship right now, they're living their life that way, or they're living and being in relationship with other people who are that way, realizing it's not as stable or as solid of a foundation as they thought because they're feeling stuck. And they might be becoming enlightened to the fact that the people they had been in relationship with or are in relationship with are hiding the fact that they could harness these energies in a shadowy way. The 6 of Cups and the 9 of Cups. In shadowy energy of shadowy Scorpio, shadowy Pisces, it can be people who want to repeat this certain pattern of way of being in how they work together with other people. That makes them happy. And part of it could be, I want to be in a relationship with people where I work together with people, but it has to do with the 3 of Cups. From the 6 to the 9, we have the 3 of Cups. That's kind of the, how are we going to move forward in that relationship? Some people operate more from pride and ego, shadowy Pisces energy, where it's like, it's more about me using my emotions manipulatively to get people to work together with me in a relationship, because that makes me happy. I want to be in a relationship. I want to work together with other people, but I still want to operate from my more emotionally defensive nature. I want to use my emotions manipulatively. For others, it could be that they were hiding, that they this is the type of pattern that they operate within relationships, but they don't want people to know that. But also, some people could have been dealing with people who harness shadowy. There's shadowy Scorpio energy, can be people who really prefer to keep their emotions buried beneath the surface and be in a more emotionally shallow, superficial relationship. That's what makes them happy. Because in order to be in high vibe Scorpio energy, they'd have to be balanced within themselves to be more open to love, to be able to have deep, meaningful relationships with people. And some people are defensive to that. That's making them vulnerable. They could get hurt, and they don't want to get hurt. They've already been hurt. They're in their pride and ego. They want to work together with people, but they want to be more like able to indulge in it, being still in their emotionally defensive nature. Well, if you're someone who wants to work together with people from high vibe Three of Cups, high vibe Cancer energy, I want to work together with people from a place of love and truth and justice and fairness. I want everybody to be more emotionally independent from their ego. I want to be with people who learn to love themselves, to reconcile themselves with the past, to be enlightened to the truth that there's people that we've worked with in the past that could have acted in ways that hurt us, that we weren't happy about. But not everybody is like that. And we just accept that, but we got to see the truth. We have to see the truth about people we've worked with in the past. And some people have a problem with that. And they're still defending people from their past who might live their life like that, where it is more emotionally shallow and superficial, or they're still codependent on those people for their sense of emotional stability. And if they're used to being in relationships with people who are kind of more emotionally shallow and, get in relationships more to indulge in the status or the image or the whatever, where they can still operate from pride and ego, they're not wanting to be enlightened to the truth of that. If they were enlightened to it, they would see the truth and they would, accept that there's people in their life who are like that, who they can love. But I have a different dream, because Pisces energy is about I have a dream. And you might live your life like that and I can love you. You're my sibling or my family members. But I want to be more emotionally independent of the past. I've expanded my perception of myself and the world around me and how I view relationships. And if you want to live your life like that, that's fine. But I want to be more independent of that because I have a dream. But some people can't move forward with people because they're not willing to become independent of those people or that view of life. And they're happy living their life like that. And with some of those people who could have gotten in a relationship with people who have hope and faith and belief and love who are more independent, they could have thought that if they got in a relationship with those people, that then they kind of had those people stuck. That those people would kind of get caught up in the ego and the image and the illusion. Because Pisces energy can be about getting caught up in the illusion. Look how wonderful it is. Look how successful and victorious and what a happy family we have or a happy workplace. But I'm kind of bossy and controlling, or I think I'm the boss. I'm kind of stubborn and prideful. I'm not willing to expand my perception of how I view relationships. You have to live life like I've always lived my life, like people in my life have lived my life. I'm not willing to become more independent of them. And they thought if they got you in a relationship, they'd have you stuck. But what they didn't know about you is that you harness high vibe Scorpio, high vibe Pisces energy. And when you feel stuck in a relationship, you do this work within yourself to get balance within yourself, to focus on the truth. Is this just and fair? Is this loving? And you do that work within yourself to get balance within yourself, to offset your fears and your insecurities and your self-limiting beliefs with love, and to be more independent, to keep believing in your dreams. And some people didn't think you'd do that because they've never done that. And some people right now are in those relationships, and some of the people who might be being stubborn and prideful and bossy or controlling in a relationship don't realize that the people they're in a relationship have become enlightened to the truth. That, oh my gosh, I'm kind of repeating a pattern of relationship. You're repeating a pattern of relationship. We've all been here before where we've worked with people who are like this. Do I want to keep staying in this and indulge in it, in my ego, my image, whatever, out of fear and insecurity of moving forward? And those people are doing work within themselves to get balance, to believe in themselves, to offer themselves that cup of love, to be willing to be enlightened to the truth and speak their truth And some people already did that. So then we have a Rabbit. Too much concern with sexual matters. 10 of Wands, 9 of Pentacles, because of the 2 of Pentacles. And it's in reverse. So, you know, the 2 of Pentacles can talk about lifting up your investment in something. And the 9 of Pentacles can talk about becoming single. And some people right now are putting in that work and effort to get more balance within themselves, to know their worth and value, and to maybe pick up their investment in what they had been investing in. To high vibe 9 of Pentacles and Virgo energy is knowing your worth and value. That why would I keep staying in a relationship where I feel stuck? Where I may be in a relationship with people who are repeating some poor past patterns, who might want me to stay in the relationship because it's, I don't know, it's kind of indulging people. Are we staying in it out of our fear and our insecurity of being more independent? Because we don't know our worth and value, because we haven't learned to love ourselves. Some people might be inspired by some other people in the world who are independent, whether they're in relationships or not, you know, and the ultimate is to be a high vibe 9 of Cups and a high vibe 9 of Pentacles, where you're like an independent person, you're working with other people who are independent, and you work together, and you have this common area where you work together, but you accept that each other is their own individual person with their own things that motivate and inspire them in the world, but love is the common goal. But some people think, no, don't I get in a relationship with you and then I try to control you? I'm overwhelmed that you're independent. I don't like that you're balanced, because in order for me to keep working with you, if you're not willing to kind of let go of your dreams of being more independent and balanced in a relationship, where I try to keep you out of balance and make you maybe indulge me in a relationship, or make your life more about the illusion of the world and staying in the relationship for fear or codependency or materialism or whatever, I'm going to have to move forward with you, and I'm going to have to detach from some of my old ways of being to move forward with you and be more independent. And that means I'm going to have to, if I used to feel more safe and secure operating from my more emotionally defensive nature or my more emotionally detached nature, because, you know, working from our emotional foundation, you know, we're emotionally complex human beings and our emotions are complex. And some people could have decided a long time ago, I'm not doing that, you know. I just don't want to deal with it. I'm going to live more from my mind than my heart. I don't want to be in deep, meaningful relationships. That's confusing. I have this certain way of being in relationships, you know, that's how I like to do things. And part of their way of doing things is maybe kind of indulging themselves in relationships with people, but not really investing themselves. The 2 of Pentacles can be juggling. I want to be in a relationship with people, but I don't really want to emotionally invest, because then I got like skin in the game. Then I'm vulnerable, you know. But I want to be in a relationship with those people because they're warm or they're loving, or it looks like my dreams have come into reality with them. But for some of those people, it's overwhelming for them to be in a relationship with people who they can't manipulate and control. I'm used to manipulating and controlling people, and you're too independent. You keep maintaining your balance. You keep putting in a lot of work and effort not to indulge me in my poor behavior for some people. Tell us about the cat, a two-faced friend. The Ace of Pentacles, because of the 3 of Cups. When the Ace of Pentacles comes out, it kind of, in high vibe, it means some people have seen a truth. And, you know, with the Hangman being enlightened to the truth, that there's some people or ways of being within myself that I need to become independent from if I really want my dreams to come into reality. And I need I have learned the lesson that it's about operating from a foundation of high vibe Cancer energy, operating from a foundation of love, living from my mind. I might, be able to have things of the world that could make me happy, but if I'm not really operating from a foundation of love, it's kind of like creating an illusion in a relationship. And I think some people learn that. They are independent. Some of those people have made offers to other people in the world that I've learned lessons about being in relationships or being in my own pride or ego or fear and insecurity, aligned with my own shadow nature, not loving and believing in myself. I got myself in some relationships where I felt stuck, and it made me do this work. High vibe 10 of Wands. Is that 10 of Wands? Yeah. High vibe 10 of Wands of Sagittarius energy is that if I don't want to stay in something where I feel stuck, I have got to take some creative, inspired action in my life to wrap my brain around this game of life. And high vibe Sagittarius energy is about higher learning and education. I need to figure out, I thought this was aligned with my truth, that this would be just and fair. Why do I feel stuck in it? And part of it could be is not realizing I was repeating a pattern. And I could have gotten caught up in the illusion of the world that, this is the way I'm used to being in a relationship with people who are like this. These people could remind me of people I grew up with. That was my comfort zone. And then realizing I don't want to repeat that old pattern. Life's about taking the good things that we learned from the past and putting our own unique spin on it. And we have to love and believe in ourselves, to know our worth and value, to be more independent of the past, of our fear, of our insecurity, to learn the lessons we were meant to learn from those past life experiences, to be willing to love ourselves. And also a pattern can be that we're used to investing in people, like being a loving person to other people who are prideful or egotistical, like trying to bring them to the light side, but we're not used to being in relationships with people who treat us the way we treat them, and that can be out of our comfort zone. And it's to learn I deserve to be in relationships with people who treat me the way I treat them, but it can be uncomfortable if you're not used to being in relationships with people who treat you that way. It's kind of out of your comfort zone. And previously, you could have been unwilling to move forward with people who are like that. And some of those people did move on. And now that some people have learned those lessons, they would like to be friends again with some of those people that they could have kind of pushed away when they weren't more independent, when they didn't know their worth and value, when they weren't more balanced and they were used to indulging poor behavior in others or kind of some fear and insecurity within themselves. And they've learned to love themselves, and they're ready to work with people who operate from a foundation of love. So tell us about the Rat card. Someone working against you behind your back. And it's also learning the lesson that there can be people that we love that we realized we can't keep staying in a relationship with because they juggle and they try to emotionally manipulate, or they want to stay single and don't want to invest in growing and maturing the relationship. But we can all love people. We have children, we have siblings, we have parents, friends, whoever, that if those people we feel are kind of a little bit like they should be the boss, acting a little prideful, not ready to move forward with us, it's like, I wish you peace. I'm going to keep moving forward in the energy of love. And when you're ready to be more independent of your fears or your insecurities, or maybe thinking you should be the boss and willing to work with me in love, hit me up then. But until then, I'm going to move on. The Rat, the Nine of Wands, the Eight of Pentacles, the Sun card because of the Queen of Wands, Leo energy. Sometimes people can act bossy and prideful and egotistical. don't like that you're being more independent, that you love yourself. They like being in relationships with people who are more defensive, who kind of indulge them in a relationship. And sometimes if you're not living your life that way and indulging them, they're in shadowy energy. Loving people choose to be open and authentic and loving and truthful. Other people think, I have a better idea. I'm going to try to manipulate them to do what I want. And so sometimes those people in their pride and ego, because you're not doing life the way they want, and they don't want to do life the way you want, where it would be having good boundaries to their shadowy nature and the things that tempt them not to be just and fair and loving and authentic and warm. They could even eventually try to triangulate you by, investing in the other people in their life and kind of ignoring you, even if that's friends and family, or possibly getting in a relationship with someone else who's single to try to get you to do the relationship the way they want. And that's a foolish risk some people take in a relationship. But they could think, because it's kind of like using the love that you have for them against you to manipulate you. And thinking you'll be kind of overwhelmed about being single from them and having to start fresh and new. And so, but for some of them, it backfired. Ooh, because you saw the truth. This isn't loving behavior. This is prideful, egotistical behavior. You're not working together with me in an emotionally balanced, loving way. You're trying to overwhelm me. You're trying to get me to give up on my dreams, which is love and justice and fairness and balance, to settle for being manipulated. And some people are like, no. From the 10 of Wands, I did the work to know my worth and value. I'm picking up my investment in you, and I'm loving and believing in myself, and I'm realizing I can't have a new beginning with you, and I realize I have to have good boundaries to you, and I need to listen to my intuition to guide me, and I need to keep putting in work and effort to look to the future in the energy of high vibe Leo energy, to keep putting work and effort into listening to my intuition, to give myself in high vibe Leo energy of the sun. I'm going to stay in life-giving energy. I'm not going to get in my pride and my ego and my fear and my mind and go back and forth. People who want to work together with me would invest in me in love. And if I left that relationship and I could have communicated to someone else that I wanted to have a new beginning with them and they're not investing in me, okay. People who are motivated and inspired to work together with me in the energy of love would. And the people who aren't, won't. And I'm not going to be an illusion about it and in my head about it and feel stuck about it and juggle about it. I'm going to keep investing in standing up for what I believe in. And I'm going to go invest time, energy, and effort in the world to find the people in the world who want to work together in an authentic, loving, warm, bold, brave, kind, just, fair way. And eventually I'll find the people in the world who are on the same page as me. Now, there might be some people in your life, between adult children, siblings, parents, friends, loving people in the world, who just had to work through their own issues, and some of those people might make you an offer. Now, because we live in a dualistic world and you have free will, God might give you two choices. And you have to listen to your intuition about who is trying to manipulate you. Are you going to be tempted by your pride, your ego, your lust, your greed, by someone who maybe a relationship didn't work out for them and they're juggling and they're a juggler and they're overwhelmed about being single and they just want to be in a relationship with someone to look like they've had a new beginning in their ego? and who really has learned lessons in life, who is independent of the past, has no interest in being in relationship with those people from their past, who aren't overwhelmed about being single, who have learned to love themselves, have good boundaries within themselves, who want to defend being in a relationship with you because you're loving and warm and insightful and creative and inspired and have learned lessons in life, and so have they. So, listen to your intuition so that you don't repeat a past pattern, but you're also not going to sit and wait in your ego about if someone's going to make you an offer. It's like, I'm going to keep living my life. You know, the people who want to be in a relationship with me would invest in being in a relationship with me. And if they're not, I'm just going to keep living my life. Okay, let's go down to the bottom row. We have 2 cards not showing themselves. Turkey. Someone is behaving stupidly. They might be in their shadowy energy, and when a card is in reverse, it could mean extremes. So they might not want to admit that they kind of have this illusion about what it means to be in relationships, and they could be acting very stupidly, but they don't want to see the truth of it, and they don't want other people to know it. Well, family wishes coming true. No, they're rejecting that. And they don't want people to know that. Then we have the feather in reverse. Someone you know is undependable and insincere. Oh my goodness. Then we had these 3 cards come out. Mountain Road, you are on the road to success. No. Happiness in reverse. April is Aries and Taurus energy, so they could be more about themselves, kind of stubborn and prideful, and more about money and materialism and status and image. Could be dealing with an Aries or a Taurus. Claw, be careful, do not take risks. Jug, lighthearted, carefree time. But all of those weren't showing themselves, so they might not be seeing that they're on the wrong path. They could think that they're going to have a carefree, lighthearted time. But when we operate from our shadow nature, it's not going to work out the way we think it's going to be with success in reverse. We just don't know it yet. So if we're not taking action in a relationship in truth, speaking our truth, being just and fair, being willing to see things from other people's perspective, being inspired to be more independent and balanced and work with people from love, we're probably getting in relationships with people thinking, I don't know, that I can get this to work the way I want without maybe being just and fair or vulnerable or authentic or loving, because I get hurt doing that, and think it's going to work out the way they want. But I think they're going to learn some hard lessons. So let's get a different deck. Tell us about the Turkey in reverse. The High Priestess card, because of the truth. In shadow, the High Priestess is about either using your intuition in shadowy ways, like I'm intuitive that if I get people in a relationship with me, it is human nature that if you get in a friendship, a relationship, or a job, you'd like that to work out instead of just having to leave it to go get another one. Some people are intuitive about people like that, and they use that in a shadowy way. Other people, the High Priestess can just mean that they know the truth, but they want to hide the truth. You know, some people were bossy and controlling and stubborn and prideful in a relationship, but they don't want to reveal the truth. And if other people saw the truth and they could have acted in ways that weren't good, some of them got in their ego about it and weren't willing to speak the truth and work together with people cooperatively and, you know, admit that I made a mistake. And they could have had some people who moved on from them because they, you know, in our pride and ego, not willing to acknowledge that I made mistakes. I had fears and insecurities. I can get in my pride and ego, you know. Then we have the Well card, not showing itself. Family wishes come true. One thing they might not want to show people is that other people were intuitive of the truth, and those people left their life because this person was behaving poorly. And they don't want people to know that that's why a relationship ended. And family wishes aren't coming true because someone is kind of prideful and egotistical and likes to emotionally manipulate people or maybe indulge them in relationships. They could have had loving new beginnings with loving people, but they chose to operate from ego and they tried to manipulate people to get what they want. And that might be, they don't want people to know that, that can be their comfort zone. I don't want to be more authentic and vulnerable in the world. I like to live more from my mind than my heart. I have a lot of fears and insecurities, but I don't want people to know that I operate from my ego and that I try to emotionally manipulate people when I'm in relationships. Because, you are. If you're not being authentically yourself in a relationship, being willing to be vulnerable in a relationship, it's like people are going in a relationship with a cardboard cutout person. This is my false self that I present in the world. I juggle. I try to present myself as being, just and fair and truthful and loving and warm, but really that's just what I present myself to be in the world. Really, I'm overwhelmed about being independent of my emotionally defensive nature, and really I am emotionally defensive. And so therefore, my authentic nature hides within, looks out through my eyeballs, while my ego runs my life, and my more emotionally defensive nature runs my life. And I try to I want to work together, be in a relationship with people, but because my ego and my fear runs my life, it is like I'm trying to emotionally manipulate people to get what I want without really harnessing high vibe energy, letting love and intuition guide my life. I let my fear and my insecurity run my life. So then we have the feather card. Yeah. In reverse, someone is undependable and insincere. They had people in their life who were like that probably, because at any given moment in our life, we have this dualistic nature. Everybody else in the world has their dualistic nature. At any given moment in time in our life, there's people in our life who are loving and encouraging and supportive, who want us to grow to our full potential. And then there's people in the world who want us to be in relationships with them where we indulge in our fear and our insecurity and our lust and our greed and our pride and our ego and our codependent nature. So we'll keep indulging them in a relationship. And the people in their life who were dependable and sincere, it's kind of like they cut those people out of their life, and they're unwilling to see that their own shadow nature is like self-sabotaging them. Some of those people could have went to go have a new beginning with someone thinking their dreams were going to come into reality with those people. But when they could have had some lessons to learn and they weren't seeing things clearly, and it was illuminated to them that the people who they thought they could have this dream come into reality with were really maybe more operating from pride and ego or competitive energy. The Emperor and the Ten of Wands, because of the Two of Cups and the Seven of Cups illusion, they could have been tempted to go get in a relationship with someone who was single, who maybe they thought they could juggle, or they didn't realize that person was juggling them. Some people were in a loving relationship. They were becoming enlightened. They were moving forward. They were going to go to the next level. But they could have been tempted by their own ego and fear to be defensive to that, because it always starts within ourselves, right? Because we can all have people who pop up in our life to tempt us to be in our more lustful, greedy, prideful, defensive nature. But if we're not aligned with that within ourselves, we wouldn't be tempted by it. And I think for some of you, you were in a relationship with someone where it seemed like it could have had the potential. For some of you, everybody did the work to have good boundaries, and they're continuing to move forward in those relationships. For other people, you weren't seeing the truth about someone in your life. You weren't seeing that they were kind of had some of these shadowy characteristics, and the divine wanted you to be illuminated to the truth. And so the divine had someone tempt them. And because there's someone who could be tempted in their ego to live more from their mind and their heart, maybe a little overwhelmed at being in relationships with people who are more independent, and if there was someone who they thought they could be in a relationship with that was more kind of what they're used to, because they're maybe not very independent in the world and kind of more codependent on the world for their sense of worth and value, and would be more comfortable living their life, making their life more about money and materialism. Some of those people could have been tempted by someone, and they were hiding the truth that, they maybe really did want to have a new beginning with someone who lives life the way they do. Maybe where they're more motivated and inspired to align with the illusion and the world. And some of those people got in that relationship and eventually, kind of maybe realizing that being in a relationship with someone, it's like repeating an old pattern. Some people got or are in a relationship where they had the opportunity to get out of that old pattern. But before we break through to that, breaking free of that old pattern and having that new beginning, we probably will be tempted. And some people got tempted to go repeat a past pattern. And part of it was because stepping forward in that new way was just too far out of their comfort zone at that point in time. And then when we go repeat an old pattern, we find it overwhelming and emotionally confusing, because it's kind of like we want the new beginning, but we want to not have to give up any of our old ways of being to be able to keep staying in our comfort zone. But in order to go to that new level of life, we've got to deal with some of our own issues and become more independent from some old ways of being to live our life differently. So let's go look at the mountain. It kind of reminds me of Virgo energy, being willing to go within to gain insight and wisdom, and to be more bold and brave and confident, to put in that work and effort to, be more free possibly. And some people don't want to do that. Sometimes we find we get in relationships with people and they're have this definite way of how they want to live their life. And it is unwilling to budge. This is how I view a relationship. This is the way I want to do it. And it could be, I want to be in relationships with loving, warm, bold, brave, creative people. I just don't want them to be too independent. I don't want them to change. It's like, I want them to stay just the way they were when I first got in a relationship with them, because then I can indulge in a relationship. I may be overwhelmed and emotionally confused, but I don't want to deal with it. I don't want to put in my Virgo energy the work and effort it would take to be more balanced within myself. And I kind of want them to give up their dreams to keep doing life the way I want. So again, it's like wanting the best of both worlds. I want the people who are loving and warm and authentic and generous and giving and insightful, but I don't really want to do that. It's like, well, you can't have it both ways. Loving, bold, brave, creative people who listen to their intuition deal with their fears and insecurities to move to the next level of life, to shed some of their baggage and shed some of their fears and insecurities to move on to the next level. And if you're not someone who's willing to do that, then you shouldn't present yourself as being someone like that. Go get in a relationship with people who are more motivated and inspired by ego or image or fear or insecurity, you know? And if you're not willing to do the work to free yourself, because our shadow nature is kind of represented by the devil and all the things that can enslave us and imprison us and confine us and limit us, which can just be ego, can be fear, not wanting to be authentically ourself in the world or vulnerable in the world. Well, if you're not willing to do that, then quit trying to get other people who do aspire to free themselves from things that imprison them, and go get in relationships with people who want to be imprisoned with you by those things, you know? And some of those people might be finding out that because other people have learned lessons in life and have good boundaries, is getting harder and harder maybe for them to find people to kind of indulge them in a relationship, and they're gonna have to go get in a relationship with someone who's like them. And you can't have it both ways. If you want to be bossy and controlling and manipulative, you're probably going to have to go be in relationships with other people who are bossy and controlling and manipulative, or other people who are overwhelmed that I'm not sure. Let's see what these cards tell us here. Justice, Six of Wands, Empress, the Devil, the Five of Swords, and the Four of Wands, because of the Ten of Cups. If they think it's just and fair to operate from pride and ego and make their life where they're the indulged person in a relationship, they're maybe gonna have to put up with someone in shadowy Capricorn energy. Not that they have to be a Capricorn, but shadowy Capricorn is someone else who might be very materialistic, might be very codependent. They could either just be a fearful, insecure person that has mental conflict about taking bold, brave, confident action in their own life, who would be willing to stay in a relationship with them. But they could also end up finding someone who's willing to stay in a relationship with them. Because if it's just someone who has fears and insecurities or self-limiting beliefs, that could be like the other people they've been in a relationship with. And eventually those people, if they have a dream and they haven't given up their dreams of love, but they just like normal human being who has some fears and insecurities and self-limiting beliefs, eventually that person's going to have mental conflict of staying in a relationship with them because they see the truth that this person is kind of indulgent or materialistic or egotistical or self-centered, and the same thing's going to happen again. The other people are going to feel stuck, and they're going to do the work to detach from them. In order to get someone who really stays in a relationship with them, they've either got to find someone who is very fearful and insecure and codependent, who might have a lot of mental conflict, who might be someone who wants to win at all costs to keep this relationship. And so then they're in a relationship with someone who is so fearful and insecure and codependent that, it's like living in hell. Or they get in a relationship with someone who is very worldly focused, that, hey, I might have mental conflict about this relationship, but I want all those things of the world. I want the image, I want the status, I want the money, and they want to win at all costs. And then they're in a relationship with someone who's like that, If you want to be in a relationship with loving people who are just and fair and nurturing and supportive, you should be a loving, nurturing person who's just and fair and loving and supportive. But to think, I want that, but I don't want to be that, well, sorry. Tell us about the success in reverse. Some of those people might go to get in a relationship with someone, but the other person might have all the things that they kind of want materialistically, but they could be someone who has mental conflict about taking creative, inspired action in the relationship. It's like, yes, I want the things that you want. Yes, I want the things of the world that you want. But maybe they're not someone who takes any passionate action in a relationship. You know, so it's kind of like, well, if you want these things and I want these things, but I just don't want to have sex with you. You know, if you're willing to want the things without that, you could have that. Success. The reason that came out is because of the Temperance card, and that came out because of the Nine of Swords. You know, again, you know, it's like the people who they want all those things of the world, but they're not willing to be that. You know, I think the divine is trying to help balance out their emotions about love and their fear of love. If some of those people in their pride and ego, they could be repeating a pattern because there's some truth they don't want to see that has kept them from being more authentic and bold and brave and confident in the world. They could be trying to chase down people in their life to get those people to like validate their worth and value. And if those people would be in a relationship with them, in their mind, it would feel like I have gotten the justice I deserve. People who are like that got in a relationship with me. They could have the image or the status or cool kid club that I wanted to be in. But I think they'll be really up in their head as to why those people are in a relationship, because there could be a part of them that doesn't want to acknowledge that they could be more about ego and image and money and materialism. And that's why they wanted some people to validate their worth and value, that they were part of that club. And then they get in a relationship with people who are like that. And then they don't know if those people are in the relationship with them because of love. It's like, well, if you chased after people who don't seem to be people who are motivated and inspired by love, who might be more motivated and inspired by ego or whatever, and image and materialism, well, I don't know. Sometimes some people are trying to get people like that. They're trying to still make those people, trying to convert someone. You know, why do any of us chase people? It's kind of like a God complex, savior complex, probably because we've dealt with people like that in our life who chose ego or defensiveness or money or whatever over loving us. And we're still trying to get those people to love us. And some people have learned some hard lessons, and they've already done that kind of thing. And some of the other people that you might know in your life haven't learned those lessons, whether those are your children or siblings or a past romantic interest. You've learned that I'm not going to chase people. People are truthful and honest and bold and brave enough to do love, or they're not. And I've learned my lessons, and I'm becoming independent of those people. Some of you could have been hoping, for a long time, you could have hoped people like that would move forward with you. But eventually it gets to be where it's like, you know, I just want someone who has the traits and characteristics of someone I would like to be in a relationship with. And there might be some people from your past that you realize you could have not gotten in a relationship with or got out of a relationship with because you were repeating some patterns, and you could be hoping some of those people would come and make you an offer. And if they do or they don't, I think you're at the place where it doesn't really matter. If they're not there, they're not there, and the divine must have another plan for my life. I'm going to keep moving forward. And for some of you, someone will make you an offer because they see that you have freed yourself from an old pattern and you're ready to have new beginnings with people who are more self-disciplined, who are more bold and brave in love, who are insightful, who are warm and giving, and you're ready to accept that and be in relationships with people who are like that. Okay, let's go ask. What's coming up for the people who harness some high vibe Leo energy that they might not see coming? Some of you might not, well, you're busy kind of putting in work and effort to have a new beginnings. You could be working together with people right now that you don't realize are some people that are on the same page as you, that the divine has led you to exactly where you need to be and you just didn't realize it. What's coming that you don't see coming? The Queen of Swords and the Nine of Swords, and the reason that came out is because of the Tower. Well, again, I think there's going to be other people that have seen life from a higher perspective also, that have really given a lot of thought to what is love and what isn't love. Why have I been so up in my head about this worldly foundation or my ego or my image or whatever? And they're going to let that go, just like you've let it go. You know, we're not meant to be up in a mental prison about the world and our ego and our image and blah, blah, blah. We're supposed to live our life to be free. Go put in work and effort in the things in the world from a place of love and respect for yourself, to go work and invest in the people and the jobs and the relationships with people who really motivate you and inspire you and love. You know, why defend a relationship that has you in a mental prison? Is just imprisoning you. And the divine is trying, the Tower's about finally seeing the truth to free yourself. And the whole thing is, it takes time. You know, we had the Six of Cups and the Nine of Cups because of the Pisces card. 3 cards of emotion. It takes time to emotionally detach ourselves, and it can be overwhelming to detach ourselves from people in our life that we had worked with, that we loved, that we wished would have moved forward with us. But it's realizing that if being in a relationship with them is overwhelming, we need to invest in loving ourselves and believing in ourselves. And as time goes by and we keep putting in work and effort into loving and believing in ourselves and listening to our intuition instead of our fear and our insecurity, eventually we're able to let go of that foundation. And being illuminated to the fact that there's other people in the world who have the same dream we do, who've also given a lot of thought to not wanting to be in relationships or workplaces and friendships with people like that, who've also detached from those type of foundations or are detaching from those foundations, who have been illuminated to the truth just like you. And they're willing to stand up and defend you and keep working together with you, whether that's friends or children or siblings or parents, you know, or people you've known in your past, because they see that you're not acting out of pride and ego. You're not trying to manipulate people. You're not trying to coerce people, you know. And then when you don't act like that, it helps illuminate the truth to people, of the people in their life who are trying to keep them stuck, don't maybe have their best interest, are trying to manipulate them, aren't really investing in them, are really maybe trying to stay in a relationship with them for ulterior purposes like ego or image or status or whatever. And it's like, who wants to be in a relationship with people like that, you know? Okay, what's coming up for the people who harness some more worldly focused or shadowy Leo energy? We have the Tower in reverse and the Two of Cups because of the Empress energy. Again, sometimes people who are shadowy try to manipulate other people, thinking you won't keep loving and believing in yourself. I bet you'll feel overwhelmed about detaching from me, and you'll maybe go get in some other shadowy relationships, because there's other shadowy people in the world, that you'll want to come back to the devil than deal with new people and face your fears and insecurities. And what they don't see coming is you did let go of that foundation, and you're no longer interested in being in a relationship with them. Why? Because in your high vibe Libra Taurus energy, whether you're a Libra or Taurus or not, you harness, and in high vibe Leo, Libra, Taurus, you put in the work and effort to love your own foundation. That can be what Taurus energy talks about. And to offer love to your own foundation of how you make decisions in your life. And it was from balance and justice and fairness and truth and love. And they never expected that. Because they thought because you had loved them or viewed them as a loving person at one time, that you would never let go of them. That, like, you would look to them as your source of love. It's like, but I saw that you're not very loving. You could have presented yourself initially as a loving person. You could have reminded me of people in my past who I loved, that I wanted to have loved me. But it maybe made me see the truth about you and some of the people from my past. That maybe you're a little emotionally detached. That maybe you don't really expand your perception of yourself and the world around you, that you're kind of overwhelmed about being more independent in the world and knowing your worth and value. So then it's kind of to just stay in this investing in people, but it's kind of not really being authentic. And I want to be in relationships with people who are more authentic and loving and warm. And the people in my life who are my siblings or my parents or my family or my parent, I'm going to stay in a relationship with them because they're my family and I can extend more grace to them. But someone who's a romantic interest, no. You have to be authentic and bold and brave to be loving, or I can't be in a relationship with you. Another thing they don't see coming is that probably the relationships they're going to get in aren't going to work out. Either because the other people learn to love themselves, or because this person harnesses shadowy Libra Taurus energy, which is more like they want to be indulged in a relationship, or it's just more about money and materialism and status and image, and other people don't want to stay in a relationship with them just for those reasons. Or, with the cards being in reverse, again, it can be extremes. They might have someone who's willing to be in a relationship with them because that person is very unstable and hasn't learned to love themselves. And this person who thought their dream relationship was for someone to look to them for everything they needed. You should look to me like I'm your savior. You should look to me for love. Oh, the person they could get in a relationship will really look to them to be everything they need in the world. And I think this person will feel overwhelmed because someone makes them the center focus of, I can't do anything without you. You have to tell me maybe like everything to do. I am clinging on to you like you are love. I couldn't possibly become independent from you. I couldn't do anything without you. And the whole thing is to try to get this person to realize that maybe this is what they manifested. Now they got what they wanted. Is this what you want? Really? Someone who's consumed with you? And it's not really out of love, but you wanted someone who is codependent? Well, they might get it. So there you go, Leo energy. I wish you peace, love, and joy, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.